Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network. Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. It is the Wednesday edition of the broadcast. It is April 11th, 2012 into April 12th, 2012, 4/12/12, 4/11/12. Right here at the, was it Equinox and all that stuff? Yeah. Makes you wonder if something big is going to go down soon, or if it already is going down and we just can't really see it all yet. Lots of indicators, though. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. We're glad you could join us. Thanks for staying up late with us. If you're listening to us on an archive show later or a YouTube video or something else, thank you so much for listening there as well. My website where this broadcast originates from is theglobalreality.com. That is theglobalreality.com. And there you'll find everything pertaining to my work. And you can find the links to the archive streams, live streams, the chat room. We have a sponsors tab up there now. If you'd like to come on and have us put a link up there, get in contact with us about rates. And we had one of our listeners come forward and had a family member with something. And, hey, we worked it out, and there you go. And you're not going to hear ads, and nothing's really going to change. But that'll get us some extra help every month, and so that's much appreciated. So we got all kinds of stuff up there. And also buy Secret Volume 2. If you still haven't received DVDs or Blu-rays and you've ordered them over the past several weeks or month, be patient. They will be sent out this week if you haven't received them yet. I apologize for the wait. I've been uber busy, but you'll be getting those very soon, so sit tight. If you'd like to send an email in to me at any time during the show or any time not during the show, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and you can send in all of your love mail, hate mail, naked pictures, women only, please, whatever else you want to send over there. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. If you have questions, you have things you want to hear me talk about on air, I'd love to have that. We're going to be getting into some news tonight here on the show, and we will also continue our series of reading. I don't have the long-ass title of the book in front of me right now, but the one we've been reading pertaining to the theosophical studies of the spiritual realms and stuff, so we'll get back into that as well. I want to start out and see what kind of emails we have here tonight. This is from Michael. He says, absolutely outstanding, my friend. Your show last night was awesome to hear you in such a good mood, and the show quality reflected it. And to top it all off, he hit a home run with my advertising. Thanks a lot, Josh. Well, you're certainly welcome, my friend. Thanks for doing what you do as well for us here. And, yeah, well, I mean, it's, as I was talking about last night, when something goes from being an idea or something that's not really, doesn't exist tangibly in your reality and then you're able to achieve that, and it's done, and it's tangible in reality. Yeah, there's a satisfaction in that, knowing that you envision something, we're able to get the job done. And all the stuff I've ever done pertaining to these films and stuff has always been like that. They start off as a far distant dream in my eye, and eventually they grow into this thing, and they've just happened up to this point. I've been lucky, and I've had the support and the help of all of you out there to make all these things happen. And every one of them, from 9/11 New World Rising in 2007, my first film, that one, I wasn't really going to make a 9/11 film at that time. I was going to make a film on secret societies and stuff. And then I started noticing in all these 9/11 films that were coming out, 2007 was kind of a big year for those. And I was doing some activism in 9/11 truth groups at that time here in Dallas, helped found the 9/11 Dallas group. And I was seeing all these 9/11 documentaries, and I kept seeing all these things that I didn't see in them, or things that I didn't see covered, things that I thought were, to me, sort of stuck out like a sore thumb. So I didn't have any resources. I'd never made a film before. I didn't have a whole lot of anything to do it with. I think I made that film literally for, I don't know, a few $100s. I don't know. Maybe, I can't remember how much it was. I think in the end it was a lot more than that because of the theater and all this. It ended up being, I don't know, but it wasn't a lot of money. But the point of the matter is that Secret Right Volume 1 was the same way. Secret Right Volume 2 was certainly that way because it took so long to get that one done, and it changed modes so many times and needed so many resources thrown at it to be what it became, with all the just all the sheer amounts of hours of research and manpower hours I put into making it. I mean, if you had to put a price tag on the man hours in these films, it would be astronomical. But if it sounds like, I think that is probably, my mood probably does reflect that, because again, when I'm able to just focus on getting the work done and I don't have to worry about the resources to get that work done, boy, it's really great. I want, it makes me wonder what I could do if I had, 5 times what I had to spend on this trip I went on, where I could do a longer thing or something like that. I just see the productivity and how much I got done on this, 3 days. It just made me wonder, because there's so much more out there to go explore, and I'd love to be able to get out there and, if I had to say what would be a long-term goal for me, because I always try to set my goals. I'll always set them higher than I can achieve at that moment. That's what I've always done with this, For the very beginning, even in the days when I still, sort of liked Alex Jones, before I even had ever done one single radio show. And I don't normally make boastful things like this. I'm not a very egotistical, I'm a great person. I'm really the opposite of that. I'm really pretty much down on myself all the time. And it's something I've worked. I'm not as bad as I used to be. Certainly not. And so it's something I've had to get over, and I have gotten over it. It's not like not as bad as it used to be, but it still creeps in there sometimes, But when I first started on air, I said, give me a year, and I'll be going head to head against Alex Jones in his own time slot. And I don't know what possessed me to make a claim like that. I had nothing to back that claim up whatsoever at all. Nothing. And I don't normally make, proclamations like that about anything ever. I'm not that ballsy, dude. And by God, if I didn't do exactly that, not a year later, but 9 months later, I was going head-to-head against Jonesy in his own time slot. Even got him bumped off some of his FM and AM stations he had to pay big money to get my show back off of and get his back on. And, I was there for a while. I was on the verge of, being a pretty big name, but I gave it all up in the name of getting to the bottom of the real truth, and to be able to say what I wanted to say and not be held back by advertisers and sponsors and people who run radio networks who only care about how much money they can scrape off of it. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about the goddamn truth at all. And so, because it was always about, making sacrifices to be on micro FMs and all this stuff, which I never ever, I was on a bunch of those for a long time, and I never saw one benefit of it, of being on it. Not certainly not enough to justify censoring yourself or limiting what you will allow yourself to talk about or explore or research over fear of being criticized or misunderstood by people who might be radio hosts on your same network who you consider your peer. And that's the thing in this. You got to get over that if you're going to do this kind of work. That sort of, cliquish mindset and, going along with what other people think. It's just a very dangerous thing in this realm of research. It really is a very dangerous thing, but I stand by every decision I ever made in all of that stuff because it's gotten me here now. I mean, when I first heard about this rock wall thing, I guess 2004, somewhere around there. It's about 2003, 2004, whenever I was reading Jim Marr's book, Rule by Secrecy. And there's a little part in there where he says, maybe one day we'll have answers to all these different mysteries, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. The ancient, mysterious Rockwall in Rockwall, Texas. And, having had experiences throughout my, teenage years and stuff, because I grew up not too far from Rockwall. And, me and my buddies had experiences growing up seeing UFOs and parents and grandparents seeing UFOs in that area. Me and my buddy chased one from where we lived to Rockwall one night in his truck and watched the fucker zip off like a rocket the opposite direction. It was a fireball thing. Another time we had missing time for like 4 or 5 hours on the bridge right that crosses over Lake Ray Hubbard, right where part of the rock wall is. Another one of our friends we went to high school with had missing time in the same place. Another experience where we were out by the power plant one time where some sort of energy, I don't know what it is, some sort of very negative, dark. I've never felt another energy like this in my life. I've never really felt pure evil like this. And it was some sort of energy, and it knocked me and my buddy on our asses and made us black out, and we were, it made us cry like little babies, to be honest with you. We were fucked up, dude. Whatever this was, this day, I don't know, but it fucked me and my buddy up. And so when I read that passage in Jim Marr's book about the mysterious rock wall, a light bulb went off in my head, and I don't know what, I went, oh my God, I knew it. I didn't even know anything about the rock wall yet at all, folks. Nothing. But as soon as I read that passage, I went, God damn it, I knew it. I knew it. Because I did know it. Even though I didn't know anything about the rock wall, instinctively down inside of me, I knew something was going on there. I can remember being a kid, and there used to be a catfish restaurant. It was called Mr. Catfish. Our Friday night, when I was a kid, growing up, my grandparents, I would go to my my parents got divorced when I was a kid, so it was every other weekend thing, back and forth. And oftentimes it was at, my grandparents' house and stuff most of the time. And so every Friday night, when I would come to their house or whatever, and then later when I was about 15, I ran away from home, went and lived with my grandparents. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life because it enabled me to meet friends and people that I still know to this day, like my buddy who did the trip with me. But I always knew. I knew something was there. And when I found that out, I was like, oh, man. And then I started researching it. And this was like 2004, and I was like, and even at that time, I wasn't even doing a radio show yet. I was kind of starting to do some activism stuff with the 9/11 stuff, but really not a lot yet. I was still just researching and having my head in this stuff. And plus, I was working a lot at that time. I was assistant manager in a sandwich shop. And, I eventually when I started getting into the 9/11 stuff, I started getting into doing radio. During that time, I've always been researching the wall. And in the past, this coming September will be 5 years of this radio show. Gosh, it's been that long already. Half a decade almost. We've been here doing this show. Unbelievable. unbelievable when you say it like that and think about it like that. And when I look back and see how much I've grown and changed and evolved during that time period, it's astounding. And that would never have happened had it not been for me just deciding to put it all on the line and fuck it. And I don't care if people are going to think I'm weird, and I don't care if people think that I'm living my life in a strange way. I don't give a damn. I'm just going to do it because it needs to be done, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to quit. And because of that, people, all of you out there have responded. You know, because for once, somebody at least is trying to do what needs to be done instead of what's popular or what is accepted or what is the norm. And that is what it takes to do anything big in this world, and no matter what field you're talking about. And I felt that when I found out about the CMP stuff, second or third show I'd ever done, the first week of doing radio, synchronistically, Peter Dale Scott, who I was going to have at my 9/11 New World Rising premiere in Dallas, he couldn't make it. We got William Rodriguez instead. He got a hold of me the first week I started doing radio and said, "Hey, would you like me to come to Dallas? I'm free now." And I said, "Well, we already had the event. We already, it's over with, blah, 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 whatever. But hey, guess what? I just got a radio show. Would you like to come on my radio show right now today and be the guest?" And he said yes. And so, I mean, like second or third show I ever did, Peter Dale Scott comes on. In the middle of it, he says something about, we're talking about the CFR and the Trilateral Commission. He says, "Well, there's a group you really need to look into. They don't really talk about, don't really want you to know about. They have connections in Dallas. They're connected to Blackwater and all this stuff." My ears started perking up. I couldn't really understand what he was saying through the headphones or the cans. I went back and listened to the archive, and I heard him say CMP. I started researching it. Lo and behold, that very weekend, as I'm finding out about this, I see a news story where they announced Dick Cheney was at a meeting in Salt Lake City for the Council for National Policy. And I said, how synchronistic is that? I just started a radio show, and in the first week I'm gathering news for my show, here's a news story, boom, about, Cheney going to the CMP meeting. Then I started looking, finding out, oh my goodness, here's all these people, these people who are members. I've seen all these people on they've all been guests on the Alex Jones show. Or they're friends with Ron Paul. And the first person I went to tell about this was Mike Chambers at the time, because he was the first guy that gave me a radio show on TruthNet Radio in 2007. And I took it to him, and he, and asked him about it. And he had me on his show immediately to talk about it. And he asked me, he said, if this is true, if this is what it looks like it is, then that means that Ron Paul and all this other stuff was all been a fraud too. And so that combined with, just starting my radio show and coming out of that, very much being into the Patriot Movement, Truth Movement, Alex Jones thing. And also at that same time researching into these secret societies and this deeper stuff, which at that time was taboo to talk about by a lot of people. I mean, I was just considered a freak for talking about some of these, stuff that to me now is milquetoast, A couple of years ago it was considered strange. So my point is that through all of this, no matter what I've worked on any of these projects, in all of these films, they were all, it was just something I was just meant to do. And very rarely in life do we find the things that we are supposed to be doing. And I tell you, this is it. This is it for me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And this Rockwall thing for me is not just about the obvious things of trying to find, the real truth and trying to uncover the real truth of our past and in history and getting a bigger perspective on all this whole thing. But for me, it's a very, it just feels like it's what I'm supposed to do in life. It just feels like I'm the one that's supposed to do this. And it felt that way to me. Just like I said earlier, when I made that statement about I'm going to be taking Alex Jones on, and in his time slot within a year, and 9 months later I did it. And I had nothing to back that statement up at the time when I made it. Well, same thing here. When I first heard about the Rock Wall, I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Wasn't even in, didn't have a radio show. Wasn't making any films. Wasn't doing anything. But as soon as I heard about it, I said, I am going to uncover the truth about this thing. I said that to myself. I said it to the universe. I said it to the source, whatever you want to call it. And I proclaimed that, and that was 2004. Well, here we are, and it's 2012, and everything's supposed to end this year, right? This is when they're saying it's going to happen, or next year, or Vulcan, or Nibiru, or whatever it is, right? Plagues, Stay Puft, Marshmallow Man, the whole schmear. My buddy of mine said that to me today. I was telling him about this new film, and he's like, why are you doing that, man? The world's going to end in December, right? I'm like, yeah, but this movie's coming out in July, and, just because the world's going to end doesn't mean my schedule stops. You know what I mean? I mean, even if I knew for sure it was going to end 6 months from now, I'd still be doing what I'm doing, man. You can't stop. I can't stop. We got to continue. Period. Point blank. End of story. So, but here being the fact that this film's now becoming a reality, and I am taking my charge to do this, and it is going to happen. I know it's going to happen, especially now, especially after getting this first initial part of the film done, and having the ability to be able to do that. I know that we're going to be able to do what we need to do with this dig. I mean, it's going to be very important, especially to show, as we talked about, the difference between what is the actual wall itself and what are outcroppings. Because, again, up to this point, the scientific community has excavated and had results only on the outcroppings within the interior of the wall. But on further examination, a couple of weeks ago, we had that story about the park they're going to be building there in Rockwall. I got to tell you, on further examination, it does appear that park actually is legitimately on a part of the wall, the actual wall itself. It's real close to the exterior of the wall, but it does appear that it could indeed very well be a part of the actual wall itself. So they're going to be voting on this in May, and I tell you right now, I'm going to find out when they're going to be voting on this in Rockwall. And I'm going to go down there. I've got this press pass now, and it worked well for me on this past trip. I'm going to go down there when they do the vote, and I'm going to video it. I'm going to get it on video for documentary purposes, because I think it's important, because whatever the decision is, it's going to be monumental either way. And I think it's going to be even more monumental if they vote no not to build it, because then it'll be pretty crystal clear that they don't want to excavate this thing, because the part that they are excavating actually may indeed very well be on the actual wall itself, and I don't think that's what they want to be uncovered. But we'll see. It'd be nice. What I'm hoping for, still haven't heard anything back from this individual who said he has somebody that has some of the wall on their property and would let us do a dig. I'm waiting to hear back from that person to confirm when we might be able to do that. But that's, to me, is the biggest thing that I think is important about this, is having a separate site that we know for sure is on the wall itself, and having our own independent excavation, having our own independent investigation, our own independent data gathering that we control. Because if we do that, once they get their project done the next 5 years and spend $5 million to do it, we'll be able to have something else to reference the wall and what they excavate and what they say, is what, and have a better chance of getting at the real bottom of this. Let's see what else kind of emails we have here. This is from Chad. Chad says, "Hey, Joshua, what's happening, bro? My name is Chad. You probably don't remember, but I was the one whose Secret Right 2 order got mixed up. But anyways, I'm glad to hear that the trip went well, and wanted to say that you are exactly right about Alabama. The people there are some of the best and friendliest in the world. Most will give you the shirt off their back if you need it. I love Tennessee, but I'm literally right by the Alabama state line, and I work for Toyota Motor Manufacturing in Alabama in Huntsville. I went through Moundville a couple of weekends ago, and you definitely can feel an energy shift when you're there. I usually just breeze through, but I think I'm going to go check it out soon. Well, brother, I just wanted to let you know that you definitely have supporters of you and the awesome work you do in Alabama, man. Looking forward to the next Moonbat session as always, Chad. That is awesome. Well, thanks, Chad. I was wondering. I can say it again. I love Alabama. It was my favorite state I've ever been to. Amazing people, nicest people I've ever met. The best sweet tea on the face of the planet. You guys know how to make sweet tea in Alabama. I got to tell you. You think we would down here in Texas, but Alabama takes the cake. And not only that, you guys are NASCAR fans, so you guys know how to fucking drive. I shit you not, dude. It's the most non-police state that I've been to. I mean, motherfuckers do like 120 on the highway, dude, and there are no cops anywhere for miles. And we weren't even near Talladega. It's insane. Looking forward to the next Moonbat session as always, Chad. All right, well, thanks, Chad. I appreciate that, man. Get the word out there in Alabama. See, I'd like that's what I was saying earlier. I'd love to, I got off on a tangent. I didn't mean to do that and didn't get to finish my point. What I was saying earlier is, if I had to set a long-term goal, I'd love to be able to do something like, to be able to have like a, what do you call it? Like a, a bus type thing, like a Winnebago thing. And just go around the country documenting these ancient sites for films and doing, speaking sessions, speaking tour things in towns as I'm going around, documenting all this stuff. I'd love, that for me, that's, kind of a long-term goal thing I'd love to do. That way I could do broadcasting on the road, have all the gear in the Winnebago and go around doing that and just doing tours everywhere, and, do it like you would do a concert tour, and go around and have, a traveling show of this thing and shoot at sites and go and, have film viewings of my films, and I could do speeches and stuff like that and do live presentations with pictures and whatnot. I mean, it'd be cool, and you could, make probably make some cash, at least enough to get to each town and stuff like that. Just be something I'd love to do in the future. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to do it, but, people ask me all the time, if I had unlimited resources, what are some things I would want to do? Well, that's one of them. Everything that I get goes right back into doing this. Me and my buddy went to see Drive-By Truckers and Centromatic in Birmingham, Alabama while we were there. I can't believe how cheap that damn concert was, $20. I mean, but I hadn't been to a show in several months, and it was so nice to be able to go do all that stuff, and then at night go to a concert and just relax. Because I really didn't take a break from between all that work on Secret Right 2 to this film. And to have a couple of nights to go see my two of my favorite bands in the whole world was just amazing. And the first night, the Friday night show, was the greatest concert I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen everybody. The set list was just insane. I got a lot of video up of it on YouTube as well. And we got all the mountain sites. I mean, 4 states, 3 days, 1,500 miles, and 2 concerts. I mean, that was pretty unbelievable. Like I said before, getting out there in the field and getting out there and actually cross-referencing the things you're looking at with the things that you've researched, and it's just an unbelievable feeling that it's not really something I've experienced much in doing this. And with anything, if you do anything long enough, it becomes your job. And that's the thing about doing this, is there's always that. You always have to constantly find that next thing that you're working on, to keep you going and to keep your research going and to keep pushing you forward, And for me, it just seems to come without even trying to even find it. But there is it's just an amazing thing to be able to have the opportunities to do these things. And to make this film and experience a different perspective that you don't get if you're not able to go and stand in front of these mounds and think about how big they are. Think about how all the ones they've excavated they found giants in. Think about how these things were used in alignment with star systems, planetary systems. How the people that are around these things believe that these feathered serpent sky gods, reptilian gods came out of the sky and gave them knowledge and how to transcend the death of the physical body and go into other star realms and non-material realms of reality. And you see that these things that we're told are ancient, or, they're buried underground, have more of a pertinence in our world today than we're being allowed to know. And so even if the world is going to end this year or next year or whenever, there's still work to be done. It doesn't mean that we stop. Even if it's all for naught, we still have to keep going. And that's certainly what I'm trying to do here with your help. Let's see what else we have here in the way of emails. This is from Brad. Brad says, "Hi, Josh. I heard your latest radio show. By the way, welcome back, bro. And I really found it fascinating. Those mounds down in Alabama and other places. I was really wondering, do you think that there could have been different alien civilizations in North America that knew about the Anunnaki, or vice versa, of course? Or maybe they were one and the same. I think it's very hard at this time to really tell who was who and what about down under Australia. I have not really heard of any known legends or myths with the Aborigines. But then I could be wrong. What, really? You haven't heard any known legends or myths with the Aborigines, bro? The Wanginas. The Aborigines, for since time immemorial, have a ritual once a year where they travel long distances on foot to go to these Aboriginal caves and paint on the wall these giant, round, weird alien creatures. And they literally look like aliens. They call them the Wangina creator spirits. And these are supposedly alien gods that created and seeded their people. And they go on a pilgrimage once a year without fail to these caves, and they have for thousands of years, to paint the creator alien gods, the Wanginas, on the cave walls. So absolutely they have. I mean, there are you have stories that even predate Native Americans or natives, Native Indians, or whatever have you, all over the globe. There was supposedly their gods, their ancestors were this group of star gods called the Bakti, Bakti. They came here millions of years ago and did have some civilization. That's what I think some of this rock wall stuff, some of these real old stuff may be, some of the Bakti stuff. And supposedly they were the ones that seeded some of the life on Earth pre-Anunnaki stuff. Not a lot of info you can find on that stuff, though, if you go and try to research it. I'm going to tell you right now, I've tried. There's not a lot on it. Like there's a blackout or something on the back T stuff. But your question was, I was really wondering, do you think that there could have been different alien civilizations in North America that knew about the Anunnaki, vice versa? Of course, well, yeah, but I mean, it very well could have been we're talking a lot of this stuff. We're talking pre-Anunnaki, even like some of these giants and the rock wall stuff. We're talking, very long time ago, pre-flood, pre-ice age stuff. But with what I'm showing here with this rock wall film and these mound sites and stuff I visited, and how all up and down the Appalachians and the American South, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, there's evidence of a civilization that worshiped the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is also Thoth. And we know that Thoth traveled all over the globe, setting himself up as a god. And, of course, with America being Amaraka, the land of the serpent, I think that it's definitely, the evidence definitely points in the direction that these Anunnaki were going around all over the globe and finding indigenous people and wowing them with, feats of extraordinary power and technology, and, again, gaining servitude and setting themselves up as gods. And for some reason, evidence of this, specifically in the United States, for some reason is very important for them to either A, spew mass amounts of disinfo about, or B, just cover up and not talk about and bury altogether. But just like in the United States, here we have the biggest, or have until really recently, when now they've started to allow UFO stories to be covered in the news. But up until the past several years, UFO stories and UFOs on the news and sightings that were a regular nightly occurrence on news outlets all over the world. Very rarely in the United States, Mexico all the time, of course. Well, same thing. A lot of this stuff is commonplace talk about in other countries. In every other country, they call these mounds, they call them pyramids. I think that's a psyop. Only in the United States do they call structures like these mounds. So I think that yes, what we have here is evidence of a massive civilization that sprawled across the American South that dates back, way, way back into history, but also has different periods with it, but with a common theme of being this feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl or whatever it may be, coming down and seeding the people there with knowledge, with wisdom, with knowledge of planetary alignments, crop growing, magic, the whole thing, in exchange for servitude and the rest of it, and with that entity drawing power and energy from that servitude, which probably extends his life here on Earth, the realm of Ea. So thanks for the email there, Brad. This is from Nick Spiro. He says, your stream coming from Shoutcast apps is really muffled and distorted. When I download the archive onto my work computer and play the stream via VLC, it sounds fine. Maybe a Sam broadcast. Yeah, I think it's just a fucking Shoutcast. Yeah, just stream it from my website. It'll be fine. Anyways, keep up the great work in the field. I'd prefer that you were in the field rather than being on air. You're going to gain so much more insight and actually make new discoveries by getting your hands in the soil and interacting with locals, which seems to be working in your favor. I feel a snowball effect occurring within our network of researchers that's allowing each other to expand our consciousness and where we are seeking our information. For myself, I feel that I'm surrounding myself with solid people that I know care about me. What I find compelling is that when you first started getting into the Jesuit connections in your research, it was basically the same time I did. Those were a lot of aha moments in my research, which allowed me to discover you on Horacle. I actually never thanked you for helping me break the Christian indoctrination I underwent and allowing me to be your friend. I put a lot of effort into promoting your work, not only because I feel that you're one of the best damn radio broadcasters, but because I've always thought of your network as it was my own. I just thought you would like to know that I look at you as a person who has made a significant impact on my life. You were and are an intricate part of a continuing journey for Gnosis. Thank you and love you, brother. Well, thank you, Nick. That's heavy, dude. Thank you. Don't know if I necessarily deserve that, but thank you anyway. It's that. I mean, I've had people just look me in the dim eye and tell me that I changed their life. I mean, I don't know how to deal with that, man. Because I just have never thought that I'm worth shit. You know what I mean? And when somebody tells me that, it's amazing. It's a hard thing to accept, though, you know. But I won't ever stop. This is from Lee Iavino. He says, hi, Josh. I'm super pumped about your documentaries coming out later this year. I was contemplating joining the Navy for personal reasons. Do you think that is a wise idea, considering my name is publicly attached to many conspiracy videos, including yours? Maybe they won't even let me in, but I was thinking of ways to fund my future movie ideas. The dream would be to make major movie blockbusters like James Cameron and Ridley Scott. I know that sounds insane, but just let's entertain the idea of insane for a moment. Would they target me? You know, I mean, it's hard to say. It would depend on what level you're talking about. The Navy, Navy, that's broad, dude. You know what I mean? When you look at how many branches there are with the Navy, especially, what are we talking? Are we talking ships, planes? We talking naval intelligence? We talking, it's a pretty broad swing. I would say if you're going to be involved in anything with naval intelligence, you're screwed, blued, and totally tattooed for life. Regular, ship duty, probably not. I think it's going to depend on what it is. But, why do you want to join the Navy? Is that your only option at this point? I've seen your work, dude. Didn't you do some PBS shit or something? I've seen trailers. That shit looks like goddamn, multi-million-dollar pro shit. I don't know, man. I would say last resort, I guess. I don't know. I just, I have a hard time telling anybody, yes, you should go join the armed forces of any kind. You know what I mean? That's just me. I guess if you have no other choice, man. But I think that look, don't take this the wrong way, but I think maybe you're giving up too soon. There's got to be something else you can do, or some other avenue you haven't explored, something you haven't thought about yet. Have you put together a reel with your work on it? I don't see why you couldn't be able to go to at least go get, a job directing a low-level Hollywood movie or something and starting out small and building your way up. I don't know, man. It's really tough advice to give. I don't know what all your reasons are. Probably, I think it is. Probably something to do with a child. I'm sure most guys really don't have. Start thinking about going into the Navy thing until there's a child involved. So I'm sure that's probably what it is. But I don't know, man. I personally, I've seen your work. You helped you cut together that Winehouse thing for me. I don't know, man. I just say don't sell yourself short. I think you have a talent. I think that you could find an outlet for that talent somewhere other than enlisting yourself into the New World Order's, armed forces, really. But that's just me, dude. But, do what you want to do. Do what you got to do, period. If that's what you got to do and that's all you can do to take care of your business, then do it, But if there is in any way, shape, or form any other way you can handle your business without having to go that route, well, then at least try to explore those other options first. And if it doesn't work, then, then if that's what you got to do, then do it. That's the best advice I can give you, my friend, Let's see what else we have here in emails. Somebody had a question the other day. I can't find their email. I was looking for this the other night during the show. I was going to answer this question, and I just completely forgotten, and I couldn't find their email. Somebody had asked me, and I haven't looked this up. I think it was on the road trip when this question came up. But somebody said that they had heard that the whole Trayvon thing that's going on, that this kid was targeted because of his organs, and that they wanted to harvest his organs, and so they set this thing up to kill him and have this whole, I doubt there's any way to prove that. But this person's question was, have I heard of this kind of thing happen before? Absolutely, man. Abso-fucking-lutely. Happens all the time. The organ trading underground of the world is, and has been for a very long time, very huge. I can remember like 1998, 1999, the early days of eBay before it was a big company, and you could literally go on eBay and buy shit, dude, anything you wanted. Pounds of marijuana, sheets of acid, white babies all day long. White babies, 10 grand for a white baby all day long on the old eBay. Kidneys, livers, spleens. You want a toe? I can get you a toe. I get you a toe by 3 o'clock this afternoon with nail polish. Anything, dude. It was the fucking Wild West back then. And most of your underground illegal, for some reason, the biggest recipients of underground organ transplants are all coming out of Israel. And in China, they literally have mobile kill vans in China. Hey, mobile kill van! You get your mobile kill van right now and take your organ! They literally have mobile kill vans where they because they have, DNA and genetic samples on all the citizens, because the citizens are property of the communist state of China. And when they have an organ match with a rich Israeli buyer, they go to the person's house, scoop them up, put them in the back of a van, slit their throat, take their organs right then and there, take their body down to the morgue, and send a letter to the family saying that they died of natural causes. The end. And some rich Israeli gets their organ, and that's that. So while I don't think I haven't seen any proof or evidence. I haven't looked. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm sure it probably doesn't exist. But this speculation about whether the whole Trayvon thing, again, no real way to prove that. But it wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if it came forward. And speaking of that, here was a story that came out in June 2011. We wrote about a strange case of a 17-year-old Chinese boy who sold one of his kidneys for $3,500 so he could afford a then new iPad 2 tablet. At the time, police had been attempting to track down the parties responsible for both the surgery and the seedy organ trading ring behind it all. Now, nearly a year later, the young man is in the hospital, and a total of 5 people have been arrested. The mother of the boy was first tipped off to her son's unorthodox dealings when she noticed him playing with a brand new Apple tablet, knowing he couldn't have afforded it on his own. She grilled him until he confessed that he was now without one of his kidneys thanks to the shady operation. 5 individuals, 2 of which are employees of a local hospital, including the surgeon who removed the organ, are now facing various charges. According to police, the kidney itself sold for roughly $35,000, most of which went to the man who organized the scam. He reportedly arranged the odd trade to help pay off gambling debts. Well, they ought to fucking take his fucking kidney to pay this little kid back that he ripped off. That's justice right there, right? Meanwhile, the young man who had the organ removed, identified only as Wang. Oh, God. It's always Wang, isn't it? Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Identified only as Wang in police documents, now suffers from a renal deficiency as a result of the procedure. Yeah, is that all? My God. So, yeah, organ harvesting is very real. Underground black market organ trading and selling is very real. And, if you got a part they want and, somebody's got enough money, they can take anybody's organ. That's pretty much how it rolls. All right, we got more news to get into here for you on tonight's show. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us. This is the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. We're going to take a break, come back. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight. Another late-night Moonbat session for you. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it so much. We're going to be getting into more news in this segment of the show tonight. My website where this broadcast originates from, theglobalreality.com. Theglobalreality.com. Up there you'll find See Right Volume 2, my newest documentary film, Blu-ray and DVD, research packs as well. YouTube has officially cock-blocked Part 1 of that film. It was up since November. And too much heat for them, too much hard-hitting information in there, so they had to cock-block that. I am going to be working on putting up another version, and I'll just, I'll cut that piece of footage out and tell people, hey, take it up with NBC Universal, tell the motherfuckers who license footage to people and make them pay money for it, and then turn around and, well, there's no way for, here's the problem. The only thing that YouTube has is they see certain pieces of footage that are copyrighted, correct? So if I go through the proper channels and I license a piece of footage that they've already tagged as being their copyright, it doesn't matter if I've paid to have that footage license and have it in my film. Because it only sees it as a copyright. There's no way for them to tell whether I've licensed it or not. And I understand that, but why didn't it happen as soon as I uploaded it? Most of the time, whenever you have anything for copyright and you put it up, I mean, that thing was up for that long, and it had, I don't know how many hits, 10,000 over 10,000, I don't know, 20,000, I can't remember how many it had, whatever. So, yeah, I'll be working on, I guess, getting another version of that up eventually. But onward and forward we go, right? They're not going to keep us down, the fuckers. They're just scared, that's all it is. Love to still be able to get that film up on iTunes and Amazon. I mean, not Amazon, iTunes and Netflix. Just be a real 1-2 punch, get it out there to a wider audience, possibility of reaching millions. But, it takes a lot of resources to do all that. It's like $1,500. But let's see what we have here tonight in the way of news. This is, I'm just starting off with this one. This is a huge story because it definitely backs up everything I've been talking about on this show for almost 5 years now. And as soon as the stuff started going down in Syria recently, of course, as those of you who listen to the show all the time know, I was saying, well, they'll be going in there looking for antiquities soon, just like they did in Iraq, just like they've done everywhere. And now that they've gotten the overthrow of power there, they're going to go in and start looking for more antiquities. Sure enough, here we go. Experts sound alarm. Looters tear up Syria archaeological treasures. Experts warn most vulnerable are strife-torn areas where looters have already targeted museums, excavation sites, and monuments. Syria's year-long revolt is exposed to looting and destruction of the country's archaeological treasures, including the ancient city of Palmyra and the Greco-Roman ruins of Apamea, experts warn. Most vulnerable are strife-torn areas that have fallen outside the full control of the regime, where looters have already targeted museums, excavation sites, and monuments. Now, let's be clear here. Palmyra was a city in Babylon. That's a fact. It was a cultural center of Babylon. But what's interesting here is they don't mention, they just say this is in Syria. They don't mention that this was once part of the Babylonian Empire, and that's what makes this important, because it shows this pattern of them wanting these specific antiquities that specifically related to that period, the Babylonian period, which was very steeped in this, this stuff that we read about in these texts of the Anunnaki and the gods being on earth during those times and the rest of it. So I find that highly shady that in this article they would fail to mention that, by the way, what's important about this looting here is that this was the cultural center of Babylon. That's what Palmyra was. That's where that's where they practiced music and art and everything. In the past 3 to 4 months, there has been a lot of looting, said Habaya al-Sakil, director of the museums in Syria. In Apamea, we have a video showing looters removing mosaics with drills. And in Palmyra, there's a lot of looting and clandestine digging. Right. Random looters go in with fucking drills and take Babylonian mosaics off of the wall. Yeah, it was just random looters. Yeah, that's what they do. And these guys are paid to go in there and look like random looters to take this stuff back for a bounty to people who never see the light of day and who are not going to get their hands dirty themselves. You understand that, right? The people who really want these antiquities are not going to get their hands dirty. They can pay these quote-unquote looters what to them is a king's fortune, which is a penance for the people who want these actual antiquities. They go in, give them the tools, they go in and do it, and, the news just reports that, it was just random looters. I always love how these looters in Iraq and Baghdad, Syria, Iran, wherever it may be, I love how the looters, Egypt, all these looters in all these countries seem to have such a great, fantastic eye for antiquities and ancient art, don't they? You know what I mean? I love that. These guys that went into the Iraq National Museum, they had a fantastic eye for art, such a good eye for ancient Babylonian art. They were able to forego all of the decoys that were set out in the actual museum and went straight directly to the vault where the real stuff was at. Boy, these are some well-informed, random-ass looters who just love to go out and grab, they act like these guys are sitting around reading books, volumes of books on ancient Babylonian antiquities, waiting for the day when civil unrest happens so they can go out and loot some goddamn museum. Oh, this is going to look great in the den, Dirk Allah. I cannot wait to have King Hammurabi's tablet in my living room. Oh, Dirk Allah. I mean, come on. These guys are just waiting. I mean, Al-Qaeda is really about stirring up civil unrest so these guys can go and loot, Babylonian artifacts for their fucking temple or whatever it may be. I mean, come on. Sakil said other historical sites across the country have fallen prey to looters who are taking advantage of the violence that has swept across the country for more than a year to pilfer antiquities. She said that though the practice has been ongoing for years, the pace has increased as a result of the unrest. Well, yeah, coincidentally enough. Imagine that. We go over there and kick up dust and overthrow leaders and everything else. And just coincidentally with that, as that increases, well, so does the amount of looting going on. Wow, that's just a coincidence, right? Yeah, the more military intervention there is in these Middle Eastern countries, the more that antiquities and ancient things that go back to Babylon and the Anunnaki and all this stuff are, that just happens to go up during these times. We don't know why. Right. My God. Syria has not been fully searched by archaeologists, so wherever you dig, you make a find. God, there's just fucking, there's literally just fucking antiquities coming out of the ground there, dude. I mean, there were in Iraq, too. They set up all the base camps. It just ground up. They were just grinding up ancient Sumerian tablets into the dirt, literally, to build their base camps when they went into Iraq. Just grinding it up like nothing was there. You're going to sit there and tell me they're not trying to cover something up? Bullshit. Oh, just a bunch of raghead stuff anyway. A bunch of that raghead religion crap. Grind it up, boy. Put your goddamn base camp on there. According to experts, thieves have already made off with items from the museum in the central city of Hama, including antique weapons and a statue dating back to Aramaic times. Again, this fantastic eye for certain periods, the most important periods that we can glean information from. These are just where these random looters always go for that. You know what I mean? God damn, these are some fantastic looters. These guys are well educated. You have to give it up for you, Middle East. You guys have the most well educated looters on the planet. They know exactly what the shit is to get, man. They're studying this stuff 24/7, waiting for some shit to go down so they can go out and get their loot on some ancient antiquities. Woohoo! Not gold, not silver, not cash, not money, not, new electronics or whatever it may be. No. 5,000-year-old crap. That's what we want to go get. That's what's hot on the streets. Give me a fucking break, dude. They are destabilizing countries piece by piece, little by little, so they can acquire these antiquities to put together a larger picture to either gain information or gain access to ancient technology they want to use in their favor. Further northwest, the historic citadel of Shizar, overlooking the Orontes River, has been damaged, while in Apamea, a Roman marble statue has been stolen from the museum, and looters have been busy pillaging the sprawling site at night, the experts say. They add that the stolen pieces are probably smuggled through Lebanon and other neighboring countries and then sold on the black market. Videos posted on YouTube also show the citadel of Al-Madik in Apamea being shelled during fighting between regime forces and rebels. The ancient city of Abala, located in Idlib province, site of fierce clashes between regime forces and rebels, has also been exposed to looting. At the Crack des Chevaliers, considered a crown jewel of Crusader castles and a top tourist attraction, guards have been unable to enter the site due to it being occupied by armed men. Oh, jeez, la fucking wheeze. Oh, I should have fucking known. Oh, there's something there, all right. That could be the Ark, folks. It could be something or something like it. Well, first off, I didn't know there was a Crusader castle in Syria. That's new to me. Maybe some of you knew that out there. So maybe there's some of you out there going, "Oh yeah, Josh, you didn't know that?" Yeah, everybody knows that. I was unaware of that. I didn't know there was such thing as come on, the Crusaders. You're talking about the ones in the Middle East. There's a Crusader castle in Syria, and now there's armed guards there. Looters sending their own armed. They don't say who these armed men are, but they imply that they're not supposed to be there. It says guards have been unable to enter the site due to it being occupied by armed men. So guards are trying to get into this place. The guards are supposed to be there, but it's being occupied by armed men who aren't the guards of this place, and it's a Crusader castle, and it's in the middle of Syria. Oh my fucking God, y'all! Jesus, this is bigger than I thought. Oh, good lordy! Go ahead and write down what I said earlier in the show tonight. There's going to be some shit going down real soon. I don't know what, but something big. They found something there, guys. There is something there that somebody knew was there. They caused all this stuff to go down in Syria. It went down exactly the way they wanted it to, and now they've been able to send people in there to find whatever it is they're looking for. And they've got, again, armed men who aren't the guards that normally guard it there, and they can't get in. That's a pretty good sign. Mikhail al-Makdisi, head of archaeological excavations in Syria, said most at risk is the northern so-called limestone massif region that is home to hundreds of covenants, monasteries, and ancient churches. In my opinion, this is the most vulnerable and exposed region right now because it is outside the direct control of the Antiquities Department. The United Nations Cultural Agency, UNESCO, last month urged member states and international bodies to safeguard Syria's rich cultural heritage and ensure it is not pilfered and sent abroad amid the violence gripping the country. Damage to the heritage of the country is damage to the soul of its people and its identity, Director General Aina Bokova said in a statement. 6 Syrian sites, Damascus, Aleppo, Palmyra, Basra, the cracked Del Chevaliers, and Saladin's Castle, the ancient villages of northern Syria, are inscribed on UNESCO's World Heritage List, and many more are on the agency's tentative list. Mark Greshenheimer, head of the Department of Archaeology and Antiquities at the French Institute of the Near East in Beirut, said Syria's archaeological sites were exceptional and that they bear witness to the evolution of mankind. What is fascinating in Syria is that along with Mesopotamia, the country reflects the main advances made by humankind, meaning the birth of the first villages of the evolution from the state of predatory to sedentism, he said. Sakil said authorities have started removing precious objects from museums to protect them from thieves. Again, who is doing this protection? Really? Authorities have started removing precious objects from museums to protect them from thieves or destruction, and a plan was underway to place them at the central bank. Really? Well, we don't want this stuff to get messed up in the museum, so we're going to go ahead and be the nice guys here and take this stuff and store it in the central bank. Don't you worry about it. We're preserving the heritage. Yeah, right. Well, that about wraps that one up, doesn't it, Johnny? You can close the books on that one. What's going on in Syria is a heist and nothing but a heist. As usual, and they use these threats of terrorism and these civil unrest and jihad and the rest of this stuff to justify and to cover up their looting and destruction and their acquisition of this knowledge and restriction of it from everybody else to achieve their goals. And I will continue to document this, and as it's something I've continued to document, I will continue to document it here on the show. Unbelievable stuff. Let me drop a link to that in the chat room for you guys. Let's see what else we have in the stack here tonight. Oh, did you guys hear about this? We talked about last night this fireball over Texas. First, they said it was a fireball, a meteor. Then they changed their story and said it was a contrail. We talked about that last night. It's obviously it was a chemtrail. And now the Never a Straight Answer Agency has yet again changed their story, ladies and gentlemen, here, as they always do. A third time they've changed their story now. I mean, I don't know about you folks, but once you start to see this thing change a third time, it's a pretty good indicator that there's definitely a cover-up of some kind going on here. Update. Texas fireball was real after all. Oh, so I guess it was too much truth coming out and too many questions about the whole chemtrail thing. So now they've backtracked. Oh, yes, actually, that was a meteor. No, it wasn't a chemtrail, no. A rare daytime fireball in Texas, briefly mistaken as a case of mistaken identity, has now been re-elevated to its original status. A large meteor really did streak across the noon sky in Texas on April 2nd, bright enough to be visible during the day as it burned up while screaming through the Earth's atmosphere. Thousands of people in and around San Antonio reported a great fire with little piece of stuff. Bright meteor looks like mostly aired footage of a jet contrail. This led first it was footage event, and that there was fireball, a passing jet glimmering in the sun in a case of mistaken identity. So now they're backtracking, saying that they just showed stock footage of a contrail. No. They made it quite clear they did get actual footage of the event, and that it was obviously that was a plane spewing out those fumes, and it's one of those ones where even when you put a zoom camera on it, you can't see the actual plane. Some of you out there may have seen this. I've seen it personally myself dozens of times, where no matter how good of a zoom you got, you start zooming in, you can't even see a plane. It's just like nothing there with just plumes coming out of it. So something's going on with this, and again, changing the story a third time definitely reeks of a cover-up. We had a series of earthquakes around the world in the last 24 hours. We had one in Mexico, one in off the coast of Oregon, actually, 5.9 earthquake off the coast of Oregon. And in Indonesia, they issued a tsunami warning after an 8.9 magnitude earthquake. It hit off the westernmost waters. Again, there's always this talk about Nibiru and all this stuff in 2012. And as I've talked about many times, the Sumerian depictions of these planets of our solar system, accurate by the way. People always point out that there's an extra planet in there, and that's how they make their case for Nibiru, but they never point out there's actually two extra in there, one of which was called Vulcan that the Sumerians were well aware of, and it's in an orbit where you can't see it no matter where you are on Earth because it's on the other side of Venus, on the other side of the sun, so we're not able to see its rotation, and it doesn't fall into the 2012 thing, so a lot of people don't talk about it or really don't want the information out there at all because it puts holes in their want of people to manifest, doom and gloom or the end of the world or whatever it is in 2012. If enough people believe that something's going to happen, it can occur, because the power manifestation is very real, and if enough people believe something's going to occur, it can't happen. But with this Vulcan thing, it has the same effects on the planet, with earthquakes, pole shifts, economic collapses have happened in the past. All these things, upheavals of society happened during the time of its coming around. And a couple of years ago, I was very suspicious of this Japanese rocket that they had sent, and it was called the Icarus One or Icarus something, the Japanese Icarus spacecraft. And they said it was going to go to Venus, go around to the far side of Venus, study Venus, and then go to the other side of the sun. And I went, wait a minute, that's the exact trajectory of Vulcan. And then come to find out, Vulcan is, Icarus is the son of Vulcan in Greek mythology. And I went, oh, well, there it is. So it's definitely something to keep in mind and think about, in the coming days as we see these events around the world continue to happen. Mel, the Jesuit Gibson's coming out with more of his Jew statements to further the divide and conquer and the whole pushing the racial thing to its brink. Notice how all their agents are ramping it up now. This is, and I told you guys this for several years now, and I've been 100% right. This is the time. This year is when all is going to be revealed. We are here right smack dab in the middle of the great revealing, and all is going to be revealed around us very soon. And it already is starting to be revealed. People's true nature is being revealed right now. Who they really are is being revealed right now. And I think that when you see the people that are furthering the divide and conquer, when you see people that are furthering the Jew stuff and the people that are furthering the racial division stuff, instead of concentrating and focusing on expanding knowledge and enlightenment and our ability to understand what it is we face so that we can eventually start to come up with the solutions for this. But, again, until we have all the information, and we are so far off from having all the information at this point in the game, that we can't ever formulate a proper solution yet because we don't even know the whole story about what exactly it is we're up against. But you really can see people's real true nature coming out right now. And, again, the people that are furthering this civil unrest and racial division stuff, this is a very good time to see people for what they really are, good or bad. And it's a very good time to make your decisions about people based on those things, I have been, some of the people that have, in the 5 years I've been doing this show, there are people who, I don't see in the chat room anymore and don't get emails or donations from anymore and I haven't seen around in a while. And people I thought would probably always be listening. And then people who I thought, I'd probably never hear from again are coming back around and listening and, you're hearing from and they're progressing. And it's just great, I think if anything else, the time we're living in right now is really the great equalizer because, frequencies are just jumping through the roof right now. The resonance of our planet, the resonance of the sun, it's rising and rising and rising to a level they can't explain. And I really think that that's probably the reason for HARP now. People talk about HARP and electronic brain entrainment. No, they control our brains with HARP. But I think what it is when you look at how the frequencies of our planet and the sun are resonating higher and higher every day and how that causes great jumps in human evolution and in consciousness and in understanding, it would seem that they would have to have something like HARP to offset that because, if that kind of growth, that kind of evolution too fast, especially for people like us who've been kept in a state of arrested development, it can be a very traumatic and bad thing. But take a look around you right now and tell me that you don't see in your life, no matter who you are out there, including yourself, even you can include yourself in this, but when you look around you right now, because of where we're at, you see people who are, starting to get somewhere with what they're trying to do with their life and their mission or whatever that may be. People are starting to ascend and their consciousness is expanding and they're starting to rise and their frequency levels are rising. But then you see the flip side of that and you see people who should be doing that, but who are falling down into their low negative selves, the low vibratory end of themselves. Because that's just the time we're in. And, it's time to put your fucking helmet on, put your big boy shorts on, put your big girl panties on, and and decide which one you're going to be. Which way are you going to go? Are you going to go down into the abyss, down into the toilet, or are you going to ascend? And it is a choice. But it's not something you're going to be able to do if you're allowing yourself to exist down in low vibrations and low frequencies all the time. I was talking about this earlier in the chat room. Somebody built a $15 million yacht that looks like, I don't even know why you would build something like this. It looks like a straight up UFO. It looks like an alien craft. I would love to be cruising around in that thing, though, and roll up on a family or something. They would shot themselves. Be lucky you wouldn't get shot at, dude. You imagine go cruising that thing out in some fucking lake somewhere where there's hillbillies? God darn UFO there, Ma. Shit, 12 gauge out. Boom. I mean, some motherfuckers would be shooting at your ass, dude. Thinking you're some goddamn UFO going to come out there and stick a, or go come stick alien probe my ass, Ma. Get the shotgun. I mean, that's just, I'd love to have that thing for a day. Yeah, just to fuck with people. I'd go cruise around, troll around some of these fucking white trash lakes out here in North Texas and just fuck with people, dude. That would be so goddamn funny. I'd be scared I'd get shot, though, really. It is Texas, after all. And what do we do to things that we don't, when we don't know what they are here in Texas? We shoot them. What is that? I don't know. Shoot it. Why is that always the first thing we do down here? I don't know. What is that? I don't know. Shoot it. Find out later. Oh, man. Where did the rest of it go? Scientists study aftermath of asteroid that hit Earth 65 million years ago, killing all living life. Scientists may have a rock-solid answer on how the legions of dinosaurs that once ruled the Earth, but now they are focused on determining what happened to the bits of rock that were cast off into space as a result. And bits of rock is most definitely an undersell. Researchers estimate that billions of tons of rock and water were shot into space when the massive asteroid hit the Earth. The saga began approximately 65 million years ago when a trillion-ton asteroid, which is thought to have measured in with a 10-kilometer diameter, came crashing down to Earth. That fatal day, called the Chicxulub Crater Event, was much more widespread than initially explained. The immediate effects include mega tsunamis and global wildfires, leading to the extinction of all land-based life on the planet. The often ignored effects were the shower of billions of tons of life-bearing mini-asteroids that were spread throughout the galaxy after spewing off Earth. Researchers out of Kyoto Sengyo University have speculated on the possible whereabouts of these key rocks. Their studies are not being done simply to answer centuries-old curiosities, but they have true scientific value because these rocks could possibly sustain life if they have been able to retain water during their significant space travels. Researcher Tetsuya Hara and his team focused their research on the portions of rocks that could have landed in the areas of the galaxy that would be conducive for life to prosper. Their thinking is that since Earth is the only planet to harbor life, the only known planet to harbor life, then it would have had to be the planets to produce any other basis of life-enabling planets. These millions of particles that came from the Chicxulub Crater Event, therefore, are the most likely starting points for any other intergalactic life. So again, any life that's out there had to have had some origins on Earth. I love that. I mean, I don't believe that at all. I mean, that's what they're telling us now, though. So any life out there that maybe is a result of some rocks that broke off of Earth, and so if we find any life out there, it will have evolved from life similar to ours on Earth. That to me just sounds like a great opportunity for them to sell us aliens that look very, similar to us, coincidentally enough. You know what I mean? That really definitely sounds like that to me. And here's another psyop. It seems now that people have started to really, as I've brought up here on the show several times, I've talked about, when you dig down far enough into the ground, you find this layer of pre-flood ash. Now, this coincides exactly to the time period which is described in the ancient Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, in which this, space war of these intergalactic extraterrestrials took place, and they reduced the Earth to ash with these nuclear weapons, and that everything on the Earth was reduced to ash, and to this day, that layer of ash is still down there. Well, now they are trying to counteract the questions that fact brings up. Now, that's global warming. Dinosaurs would have ruled over a world on fire as blazes reduced forest to charcoal. So now their story is that during the time of the dinosaurs, the whole planet was on fire. So dinosaurs were running around on land that was on fire at all times, and that's how we explain the pre-flood ash being across the entire planet Earth. I mean, give me a break. How could they have survived? How could dinosaurs have survived as long as they did if the whole planet was on fire? When the dinosaurs ruled the world, they reigned over a fiery hell, plagued by brush fires, lightning, and forests reduced to charcoal. New archaeological data claims that the Cretaceous, the period from 145 million to 65 million years ago, was constantly under threat from fires ignited by lightning and high levels of oxygen in the air. If human beings ever invent time travel, it is safe to say that the period won't be high up on our must-visit list. Why would you just throw that in there? The researchers have traced fire activity in the fossil record through the occurrence of charcoal deposits, which can survive millions of years. Charcoal is the remnant of the plants that were burnt and is easily preserved in the fossil record. This period was a greenhouse world where global temperatures were higher than those of today. The lightning strikes would have been the main trigger for these wildfires, but the period was also one when atmospheric oxygen levels were high, allowing blazes to burn even higher. So I love how they're trying to now counteract that and counteract those questions that are brought up for that, layer of pre-flood ash down there under the dirt. They are once again ramping up the zombie stuff in the news. As I've talked about before, I thought the whole zombie thing for years was just bullshit and sci-fi fantasy stuff. Till the bird flu thing broke out back in 2009, and the CDC and all this stuff started running, tests on zombie outbreaks. And the zombie survival Google map that will help you find food and guns after the undead apocalypse. So now they're having an app that'll help you find where guns and food and all this stuff is. I mean, they're really ramping this. It wouldn't surprise me, man, with the bioweapons and shit they have. I mean, like I've said before, that's, if you would have told me 10 years ago when I was researching this stuff that the end-all conclusion of this would be that probably in the end we were going to end up seeing every science fiction film we've ever seen in our lives come to life, I would have laughed at you. But goddamn it ain't too far from the truth now. Zombies, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, aliens, earthquakes. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep because I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. Fucking asteroids and shit. Get Bruce Willis on the fucking horn. Meteors, earthquakes, fucking woolly mammoths coming back to life. Plagues, New World Order, FEMA camps. Rah! How do you want to die, baby? Pick one. It's going to get fun. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Well, I refuse to allow my energy to be sucked away into a fucking vortex by all that horse shit. That's just me. You want to do that, that's your business, but don't take me with you, Bubba. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, well, we got through all our news tonight. I think we're going to leave it there tonight. We'll pick up with our reading tomorrow night. It would just push the show too far into the late hours tonight. But, yeah, we actually got through all the news. Love to hear from you. Emails, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Theglobalreality.com is my website. We have the chip-in banner there for the bills for the month. I think the stream bill's coming up due in the next, sometime next 3 or 4 days, the 15th, around there, somewhere like that. So please act accordingly and help us out with the chip-in banner, so we can meet our goal for the month and get all our expenses handled here to pay the bills and keep pushing forward into the future with our work. And there's all kinds of other ways you can support my work up there. There's a donate button. There's a P.O. box if you can't use PayPal. There's our Amazon wish list if you want to get something off that to help our cause instead of a cash donation. You can do it that way. It's all up there. TheGlobalReality.com. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow for the broadcast. You guys have yourselves a great one. Take care.